going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and welcome to the kitchen tour of the Ultimate Condo series. I'm finally here to show you guys the finished product of my long kitchen renovation that is finally complete. It's a kitchen that has been custom designed from the ground up when it comes to the layout, the stone, the different little pieces that allow you to hide the shelves, as well as some functionality and tech that I'm gonna go into all the details of on this channel, but I'm really happy with the final result. Before, this was a kitchen that was relatively large, but it wasn't well used in terms of the space, and I've tried to add in touches that I personally enjoy when it comes to design, but also functionality. If you're excited for the rest of this series, make sure you check the links down below to see the progress over the years. And as always, make sure you subscribe and drop a like on this video and leave a comment down below as to what kitchen tech I should check out, because I know you guys have seen my tours over the years and I've talked about how I didn't really cook at all, but this is a kitchen that I've actually been using every single day for the last few months, and there's been a few changes since then when it comes to the products. Let's go ahead and take a look at the kitchen details itself, while also talking about the hardware, material selections, and also showing it in action. So let's go ahead and take a look. So now we're in the main work area of the kitchen, and when it came to deciding on the materials and the layout, we work with Thomas & Birch and Elmwood, who did all of my other kitchens previously. And now we've come together for the ultimate project, and that here shows every single thing that I've learned from the previous project without setting any budget limits. I really wanted to create the kitchen that had every single thing in it. And so let's start with this side. These are the drawer sliders with dark gray interiors. And on this side, you have your drawers for forks and spoons, and here I have just some, general stuff that you have in the kitchen. Nothing really much to say about that, as well as sauces. Below here, you have your cleaning supplies and garbage bags. This is a full-size pull-out garbage can, which is something that I definitely needed for my previous kitchen. And this is the integrated dishwasher. And what I love about this kitchen island is that it flows from one side to the other. When you take a look at it from the front, you see the storage cabinets carry all the way to the dining tables, but from this side, it just has a nice little opening that highlights the walnut stone very nicely. The floors are white oak herringbone, but I knew I wanted to go with a walnut finish that isn't too satin, but at the same time isn't glossy. I think I found that perfect middle point. This walnut just looks very neutral in a lot of daily scenes, but when it's really bright on a sunny day, it has a nice highlight and warmth to it. So in the end, it turned out really nicely, but looking at one sample and just waiting for the entire kitchen to come was an interesting process, and I'm glad it turned out nicely. I definitely went between going with a very minimalist design or a shaker style cabinet, but I ended up landing right in the middle with a 1-inch bevel that goes all the way around, but it tapers off into the main face of the cabinet really nicely. And what I would say describes the look of this kitchen is a modern, but a ski chalet style home. This kitchen island definitely has more than enough of a worktop, but I just love the waterfall edge. And in terms of the stone, this in itself is a very unique material. It is called Infinity Stone. It's an Italian brand, and the color is called Calcutta Magnifico. Originally, I thought about going with a glossy marble, but the natural sheen of Infinity Stone is actually a satin finish, which makes it more durable by keeping it that way. And it looks incredible. Flowform did a great job fabricating it by building the boxes around it and the waterfall edge, and it looks so seamless in many ways. And it really was a process. It had to be craned up to the 11th floor, and this piece just travels all the way up to the top. But even after having it in my kitchen for 8 months now, I still look at it and it's one of my favorite parts. So when it comes to what I have around the sink here, if you guys have been watching the channel for a few years, you know I absolutely love this faucet. It is the Brizo Litz, and I have the same line for the pot filler, and that's because it has a matte black finish, but with a knurled gold hardware. It goes so well with this entire space because the hardware is black, but the gold accents just add a nice touch to it without being too imposing. And I also always wanted a cup washer. It's usually something that you see in a restaurant or a bar, but it's actually relatively inexpensive in the grand scheme of things when it comes to adding it to your kitchen renovation if you're building a custom kitchen and already having some new stone made. So this gold finish goes very nicely. You place your cup on there, it washes it, and there's not really much else to say about it. But in terms of the sink, I went with the matte black Kohler sill granite, and it is like a compound material that I actually prefer a lot over stainless steel because it just doesn't show anywhere. On this side of the kitchen, I also wanted to do something a little bit unique that still gathers a lot of elements from the previous projects. First off, it's the hood fan. It has vertical sliding, which you guys have seen on so many projects before. There's even a lot of fluted elements in this project, but this hood fan has more of a farmhouse style to it by going with a triangular shape instead of a box. And you can just add your own hood fan in there. And honestly, if you're looking for a really good way to make your kitchen look really customized, I think this is the best way to do it. The backsplash also carries all the way up, and I love these lights that I picked up. I don't remember where I bought them from, but just like the trumpet shaped lights give a really nice glow at night. And it's like the warm glow that you also have in the mini bar. I'm sure you guys have noticed by now though, the cooktop. This is something that I've wanted on so many projects now, and it finally made sense to do it because this is a gas stove building. And the pit is a Dutch company and essentially cooktops that get cut into the stone itself. So you can see here, the stone travels all throughout here seamlessly, and it's actually very easy to clean. You have all of your control knobs here, and I mean, the cooking experience has been really, really good. There's even a wok attachment that you can add to the middle, and with the pot filler that is also from Brizo, you don't really have to make that short trip here, but because the water line was already being brought over for the fridge, I figured I might as well add a pot filler just to add that other custom touch that you typically find in a custom home kitchen. So on this side of the kitchen, you have the integrated fridge and the bar. And both of these things are things I'm very excited about because this is the largest fridge that I've ever had. Being able to open it on both sides, having a lot of storage and also a relatively large freezer is of course always nice, but the difficulty when it came to designing the kitchen came down to symmetry. Ensuring that both sides of the kitchen are able to have a nice centerpiece that is aligned with the island while still being able to integrate the dining table and the bar was interesting. This was actually an opening to the home office before that ended up getting blocked off to have the coffee bar and the mini bar. But the fridge, of course, is a fridge and a freezer. And so it actually has a dummy panel down here that allows it to open up as one piece, but it looks like another drawer to be able to match that side. The fridge is from Liebherr. It's really nice. And having all of the Buster and Punch hardware integrated like this just makes a very bold contrast and statement to the design itself, as we've seen throughout. The French door style opening matches all the other tall cabinets where the cabinet fronts are able to tuck into the side. And so I'm really happy with the way that this fridge turned out, and I think the functionality is amazing as well. Moving over to the mini bar here, you'll notice that the thing that divides the main symmetrical aspect of the kitchen with the mini bar is an exposed concrete pole. This used to be wrapped with drywall, but I decided to just take it apart and have a bit of a raw element to this kitchen. But the mini bar is something that can constantly evolve and change depending on your interests and passions. But the starting point was to load it up with snacks and any liquor that I had in the previous unit. But having these different snack jars just looks really colorful and nice. I will admit I don't actually eat much of the snacks or the candy. We have a revolving door of snacks down here that are stored in different levels. But this is really the fun area of the kitchen. You have an assortment of snacks, maybe some cooking supplies, but recently I've moved most of the liquor out actually and purchased this La Marzocco Linea Micra, and that is their smallest home coffee and espresso maker. And of course, just like the other side, the cabinets tuck in, and when you want to just hide the mess, you can do so really easily. So the frontal view of the kitchen saw many different iterations when it came to the design process. I believe we went through 5 to 7 versions that integrated the table on one end. And whenever you start to design your kitchen, you have a list of must-haves. And in this case, it came down to having seating at the end of the counter, but also making the entire kitchen symmetrical. I always like to ensure the stove and the sink line up perfectly down the middle, but there's a question of what to do with this front hanging ledge. Having storage in the front was crucial to me, and I know I did have to give up having bar stools, but I just found that in previous properties, I didn't really use the bar stools that often, especially because the water view is that way and you actually want to be sitting on this side of the kitchen. So I ended up having a lot of storage added, and this is storage that travels all the way into the island itself, and it had to be bumped out about 10 inches in order to give you that maximum space. Things such as the slow cooker, the air fryer, and the rice cooker fits in here really nicely, as well as some other accessories and things that I just don't really want to be able to see, because one of the biggest priorities was to integrate as much storage into the condo as possible. That way I don't have to have things inside. So yeah, this storage has been really handy, and with all the plumbing and everything, it doesn't interfere. It really is the perfect height. And as we make our way over to the dining table here, I know it's not the best for hosting, and I probably could have made the island just a little bit bigger with open seating on this end, but these are just things that you learn in each project. But I love these wishbone style chairs because they don't really take up too much space by having a closed back. You're able to see through the entire space. And with condo designs, you want to keep it as open as possible to just let that light flow into the space. The black contrast in the kitchen table is just to tie into the hardware and the hood fan. I added a piece of glass on top because it is something that's just going to get scratched, faded, fingerprinted, and all the above, but I still stand by the decision to go with a black wood finish just to add a leading line that curves from the side to the back here. I will say the overall furniture selection is one that I still enjoy, but it definitely isn't the most comfortable set of seats here. So I'll often just be eating right here, looking out into the view, enjoying a hockey game or a TV show in the living room. And that was one of the major priorities, to be able to have a nice peripheral view to the living room. But at the same time, I also just sit here and work throughout the day sometimes. When it comes to the hardware, this is another element that I brought over from previous projects, and I'll continue to do so. It's the handles from Buster and Punch. They make some amazing handles that are available in so many different finishes, and I've used their knurled classic handles that were in a black finish, gold, as well as silver. And for this project, the black goes perfectly with the walnut and the other black hardware in addition to the white stone. It brings some highlight and contrast to the kitchen without drawing too much attention away from the main areas. And I mean, especially with the size and versatility of the handles that Buster and Punch makes, you're able to really find a size that works perfectly anywhere. I mean, these pull bars just look super awesome. The knurled finish is something that I can't get enough of, and I've used it in the bathroom and the closet of this project as well. They have the pull bars as well as the T-bars that I used in the entry closet, and the linear lineup that I use as door handles for this unit. With kitchen hardware, I think gold was in for a little bit. For a while, I was going with silver because it was a bit more low key, but I really think black is the trend right now when it comes to hardware because it is subtle, but still makes a very big impact, and especially with walnut and even with oak, it just looks great. And so if you guys want to check out the Buster and Punch handles for yourself, I'm going to drop a link down below, and you're going to see that in other aspects of the house as well. So the storage setup is something I've talked a lot about. So of course I have to talk about one thing that I really wanted after seeing some inspiration online for this kitchen. And it's a hybrid of being able to display certain things while also being able to hide it whenever you want. And so things like the oven and the microwave are not exactly the most beautiful in any house. And so I figured it'd be a good way to have easy access to the cups and the glasses, but also be able to use the toaster oven and microwave, but having the option to visually hide it at any time. If you have guests coming over, it might be a little bit messy here, or you just want to appreciate the symmetry of the kitchen with the other side of the fridge, all you have to do is pull and there you have it. Everything is hidden, it's perfectly symmetrical, and it looks great. When it comes to the internal drawers, I was relatively simple here. Some of the drawers are a dark finish and others are a light oak. And so I have my Tupperwares and just plates and stuff there. But when it comes to deciding on the storage, it really comes down to picking which drawers you want to be customized for a specific purpose and which ones you want to leave wide open to add dividers in the future. Some of the ideas are drawers for pots. Others could be like your mixer. I've seen like custom elevated cabinets that allow you to store your mixer that is pretty heavy, or cutlery drawers or things that I've added afterwards. But I mean, when it comes to the kitchen, having that element of versatility and customizability is important because when it comes down to where you want to place each thing, you have to use the kitchen for a little bit. And that's what I found after using the kitchen for a few months. There are things that obviously I would have done a little bit differently, but areas that I'm really happy that I thought about beforehand. So yeah, that is kind of a tour of this element of the kitchen. I mean, as you can tell, I'm really excited about it, just like the rest of this house, because it was something that took probably 2 years in total since buying the unit before it was finally completed. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching this kitchen tour, and it is the first of many videos on this channel showing you guys the finished project of this long renovation. I've gotten so many comments and messages on Instagram asking me when I was going to reveal this series, and not only has it taken a long time to get to this point, but it's also been a work in progress in just refining some of the decor and interior design elements that take a few months of living in the space and making small changes here and there to get it to its final state. So stay tuned. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.